realize that
white
only
supremacy.
less than 2% of white Americans own slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Everything is racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me?
I have a wild, and I do mean wild, panel on CNN debating slavery, racism, transphobia, and more as MAGA host Jillian Michaels tried to downplay these things in a very weird outburst. So leave us a like on the video if you can. It helps us out a ton. It gets us out there in the algorithm, and let's get right to the content.
Slavery was a bad thing that was to talk about.
Okay.
Like, he forgave
He's
me for
not
saying
whitewashing slavery. So
he's not?
He's not. No,
Okay.
he's not. And you cannot tie imperialism and racism and slavery to just one race, which is pretty much what every single exhibit does. But let's talk about the fact that when you
In the
look
United
at
States.
let's talk about the fact.
I mean, slavery in America was a
Do you realize
system
that
of white
only
supremacy.
less than 2% of white Americans own slaves?
But it was a system of white supremacy.
You realize that
African
slavery
Americans
is
were
thousands
slaves
of
and
years old?
White people were
Do you know
the slave
who
owners.
was the first race
I
to
didn't
try
realize
to
this was
end
controversial.
slavery?
Okay.
Well, what's controversial?
I'm very surprised
This is
that
an
you're trying to
extraordinary
litigate.
exercise in historical revisionism. I would say.
I'm really
Historical
surprised.
revisionism. Do you realize that
Jillian, I'm surprised that you're trying to litigate who was the beneficiary of slavery and
I'm
who
not.
was not.
What I'm trying to tell you is
in
that
the context of American history.
Okay.
In the context of American history, what are you saying is incorrect by
I'm
saying
is
that
you
it was white
cannot
people oppressing black people?
Well, yes, slavery in America was just white people bad, and it was a unique evil at that, and it was chattel slavery, which did not exist in many other countries, and we had the fertile lands to mass incentivize it to grow our economy. It became a staple, right? That's the first mistake in this conversation, is that chattel slavery is a uniquely white American evil, which chattel slavery is the sort of slavery where there's no end, you're seen as property with no rights. Equating it to debt slavery or indentured servitude in these other countries is to downplay the evil, to try to do some, oh, white people not as bad. It's weird. And the 2% number is also disingenuous. It includes women and children who couldn't own property, and the North, where slavery was banned. Of white men in the South, it was closer to 1/3. In many states, the number was over 50%. There was more households with slaves than not. It's also an economic misnomer. It would have been much higher, but many people just couldn't afford to own slaves, but still used them, renting enslaved laborers, profiting off goods created by slave laborers. Many farms profited off the cheap cotton they produced, and more.
is gender testing fair in sports? Does that, and then it goes on to talk about how it's complex to do gender testing in sports. It's not complex. It's basic science. That's untrue. It's XX chromosome, XY chromosome. That's sports. Is it fair to have biological men competing against biological women in sports? No. But why is this in the Smithsonian? So it's been completely captured.
First of all, I don't
and
think
it's totally partisan.
we don't. First of all,
Of course, for MAGA, racism isn't enough. Transphobia has to come into play as well. And I love that for transphobes, they often do this where they're pretending they're just wanting to defend science. And that's the only reason they think this way. When for Jillian Michaels, for sure, I know she's anti-COVID vaccine. And for most of MAGA, so I'm sure her as well, they deny things like climate change, that humans cause it. They think vaccines cause autism. So just outright science denial. But yeah, guys, they care about defending science, and that's the only reason. If she cared about the science, she would understand that, for one, those who don't undergo puberty, meaning they receive puberty blockers prior, there's no advantage, as puberty never happened. And it's not just like men inherently better, right? And 2 different peer-reviewed meta-analyses find no advantages like these people are discussing. One with 8 studies, 31 policies, found absolutely no advantages. One that had slightly more studies, slightly bigger group, found some slight advantages that were statistically insignificant in grip strength and endurance, and they were no greater than could occur naturally. So like, are we also going to ban the natural athletes that have these advantages? It's not science, it's bigotry.
we don't have time to litigate all of this.
Of course we don't, because then you're going to lose
I do,
the argument. Everything is
Here's what
racialized, just like you're trying to do to me now.
Excuse me.
It's like, oh, I can't believe you're trying to
Jillian,
suggest, that slavery
just to
is
be
a good
clear,
thing.
you brought up race.
No,
this was a conversation about the arts, and you brought up race.
It isn't.
You brought up.
But the whole
hold
point
on,
of
hold
this
on,
is
Jillian.
that the issue
you
people
brought
take.
up slavery, and you brought up
I
the question
didn't.
of whether. Hold
You
on.
did.
You brought up
And
the
my
question
point,
of whether or not slavery in the United States is about race. The answer is
no, I
yes.
didn't. I
Slavery
did not say
in the
that.
United
No,
States
don't
is
straw man
about
my argument,
race.
because that's not what I said.
So what are
she
you
brought
talking
up
about?
slavery, and what I was talking about is that this isn't really about that. when you make every single exhibit.
This is the most annoying line I hear. Like, these people are, I just can't be around them. I've excommunicated so many people from my life for revealing they think this way, as if like standing up against racism is racializing things. It's clearly the racist who are doing that. I don't know, but anyone saying that is on their side, so they have to, of course, point fingers to obfuscate. The institutions that further racism, from the police to the courts to the everyday individualized racism that African Americans experience, to the disproportionate disadvantages that we're at due to like historical actions like redlining, that is what racializes things, right? And for people to deny that and to instead try to blame it on those just wanting to stop it for racializing things, I mean, I love that the same person doing this is the same one who did the whites didn't really do slavery, because it just shows how all of these people really think. It's just this kind of like white superiority complex. And it's simple. It's because they've never experienced the other end of that for a day in their lives.